Have you ever wondered what separates us? Not from each other, but from the divine itself. Many traditions offer different answers. Some mention sin. Others mention ignorance. Others speak of illusion. Yet many sages agreed on one thing. The greatest barrier is the ego. Not your body. Not your mind. Not your circumstances. But the false self you protect. The self you believe you are. And the moment it dissolves, everything changes. Most people never see the ego, because they look through it. The ego constantly tells a story. A story about me, my success, my suffering, my importance, my opinions, my identity, my beliefs. This story feels completely real. But is it truly who you are? Ancient wisdom says otherwise. The ego is a mask, a temporary creation of thought. It helps navigate worldly life. But problems begin when it rules. Then separation appears everywhere. Me against others. My religion against yours. My nation against theirs. My truth against yours. Conflict begins with separation. And separation begins with ego. The Buddha taught freedom from attachment. Lao Tzu praised humility and simplicity. Jesus spoke against pride and hypocrisy. The Sufis taught self-annihilation in God. The Upanishads revealed the eternal self. Mystics across centuries discovered something similar. The smaller the ego becomes, the greater the peace becomes. Because truth is not created. It is uncovered. Like the sun behind clouds. The divine was never absent. Something was simply blocking the view. The ego rarely appears obvious. It often disguises itself. Sometimes as superiority. Sometimes as victimhood. Sometimes as spiritual pride. Sometimes as constant comparison. It whispers endlessly. You are better. You are worse. You deserve more. You deserve less. Either way, attention remains trapped. Always focused on the personal self. The ego survives through identification. Identification with roles. Identification with achievements. Identification with possessions. Identification with beliefs. When these disappear, fear appears. Because the ego fears losing control. Yet spiritual growth begins there. Freedom does not require destroying yourself. It requires seeing clearly. Observing thoughts without attachment. Observing emotions without becoming them. Observing reactions without feeding them. Gradually a space appears. A silent awareness. An observer beyond the mind. This awareness does not compete. It does not compare. It does not dominate. It simply exists. Many traditions call this presence sacred. Some call it spirit. Some call it consciousness. Some call it the self. Names are not important. Direct experience is important. Imagine living without constant comparison. Without endless inner conflict. Without the need to prove yourself. What would remain? Many sages gave the same answer. Peace. Love. Joy. And a deep connection with life. Perhaps God was never distant. Perhaps the barrier was never outside. Perhaps the only barrier was the ego itself. If this message resonated with you, share it with a fellow seeker. Subscribe to the Universal Self and continue the journey inward.